All right, let's get into the update. Update, wife's perspective 2 years later. Note, my husband told his think I fudged up from his perspective a couple of years ago, and it was a popular post. Someone suggested that I should tell it from my perspective. Hope our discomfort brings a little joy to you fine Redditors. I had just gotten a brand new job that I was really excited about, so I was delighted when my boss, who I've been trying to establish a rapport with, invited me and my husband over to her home for dinner. Well, mostly delighted. My husband is, well, he's the sweetest, but he has a history of doing really dumb shit. Because of this, I was worried about him coming along. By the time the dinner arrived, I had become so anxious about it that I actually floated the idea to my boss that I wasn't sure if he would be able to make it. She was clearly taken aback and responded, "Oh no, I really hope he can. I have dinner for 3 all ready to go." Upon seeing her dismay, I assured her that I was sure he would find a way to be there. Well, we made it over to her apartment on time and things actually started out really, really well. It was actually just the 3 of us, which surprised me somewhat, but made me a little less concerned about my husband, as crowds really tend to bring out his unpredictability. He does crazier shit when he's around more people. I had just started to finally relax and was a couple of bites into a deliciously cooked steak when things took a horrible, horrible turn. My boss had just stepped into the kitchen to check on dessert when I noticed something odd out of the corner of my eye. It was one of those things where you know something strange is happening in your peripheral vision, but you're not sure what. You have to look over and focus your gaze to really comprehend it. I look at my husband and see him holding his steak in his hand, hovering it just an inch or 2 above his plate. Before I had a chance to fully comprehend what I was seeing and verbalize something that might have saved us all from the coming horror, he threw his steak, baseball style, across the room straight into the dining room window. It hit the window, making a loud noise and slowly slid down. Now, my husband does dumb shit. I already told you that. But he's not a crazy person. Usually when he does dumb shit, I at least understand what he's thinking. There's usually some semblance of rhyme or reason to the dumb shit. In this case, I was just dumbfounded. I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't wrap my head around what was going on. I stared at him with what must have been the most confused look and watched as he stared back at me. An expression of utter horror pasted across his face. I couldn't make any sense of what was happening, but I also didn't have time to try. I heard the footsteps of my boss coming to see what the sound was. It suddenly sunk in that it didn't matter why he did what he did. He did it, and we were about to come face to face with a very awkward situation. I could feel the anger flush through my face. For a brief moment, I contemplated trying to help my husband get out of this, but no, this was his dumb shit bed and he could lie in it. Not like there was any possibility of recovery anyway. My boss walks in and sees the steak lying on the windowsill. There's the longest, most awkward pause where we all just sit there frozen. My boss and I are staring at my husband, forcing the ball into his court as the cringe just hangs in the air like an ocean fog. He finally manages to mutter some incoherent... I can't do it! I can't read the damn thing without laughing every 2 freaking words. He finally manages to mutter some incoherent garbage about being a klutz and even tries to get me to back him up. I leave his ass out to dry in the deafening silence. He makes a poor attempt at cleaning the window and retrieves his steak. Mercifully, my boss asks me a question about work and we both dive eagerly into conversation. We all resume the rest of the evening pretending that he isn't there. An unspoken agreement by all that this is the only way of moving forward. As soon as we get to the car, my husband turned into a nervous chatterbox trying to explain himself. Turns out the dumbass didn't like the way his steak was cooked. Rare. And get this, he thought the window was open. My husband, ladies and gentlemen, tried to chuck his steak out a 3-story window. He thought that was a reasonable solution to being served an undercooked steak. A year or so later, my boss hosted a Christmas party for the company at her newly built home. My best friend, Jenny, was my +1. Edit, okay guys, I probably overplayed the dumb shit angle. Yeah, he's known for acting without thinking things through, but this one moment does not represent the norm. From my perspective, in this moment, he looked like a loony bin character gone mad, which is what makes the story so funny in retrospect. My husband is a fun-loving, kind husband and father who makes life very fun. Oh well. Glad that most of you got the same small bit of enjoyment out of your day from the story. Also, we all have our faults. I joke about my husband not thinking things through. He jokes about my preoccupation with what others think of me, etc., etc. Relevant comments, it would have been amazing if he pulled it off only to have the steak splat on the windshield of a car. Another user replies, it would have been more amazing to hear his ridiculous half-wit explanation of how he ate the entire steak in a matter of a few seconds. She married Peter Griffin. It's considered concluded until the boss writes a think I fudged up later on. Wow. I can't imagine me being like, you know what? Yeah. And to have it be a window on the other side of the room and chuck it baseball style. There's some confidence in that, right? And I love how up to this point in the story too, he's like, yeah, I'm a charmer, perfectly timed jokes. I was killing it. I was crushing it. And then the cold steak. If I had done something like this, Candy Thunder would immediately have treated me the same way. Just given me the look, hung me out to dry in silence, would have given me the stern, like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this? And I probably would have come up with the same excuse. I'm just, I'm clumsy. I'm a klutz. I was cutting it, and it's somehow, pretty. It's like he went Pretty Woman with it. Only it wasn't an oyster. It was a steak. He tried to Pretty Woman this thing. That was his explanation. Slippery little suckers.